Namaste, I am Parama Karuna Devi and this is the channel for the Jagannatha Vallabha Vedic Research Center. Today I am presenting the recording of a meeting that we had with some friends in India. We call it Zoom Satsang, and this particular episode will discuss the concept of the transmission of knowledge, especially the difference between the Western academic approach and the Vedic approach. Then we will discuss about what is a guru and what is diksha. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. The first thing I would like to mention is that the Vedic-based process of acquisition of knowledge is fundamentally different from the classification given by Eurocentric or Western-based or Abrahamic-based academic system. Now, the official mainstream dominant culture, globalized culture that we can call Western or whatever, has two options when describing the process of acquisition of knowledge. These two options are A, descending process, B, ascending process. Now, they make a strict difference based on the Abrahamic concepts. The Abrahamic concept specifically says that the religious knowledge must be a descending process, or in other words, a revealed knowledge, while the opposing system, which developed after the Renaissance in Europe, is the empirical or scientific, experimental process of the acquisition of knowledge, by which one goes around and tries to find the knowledge by trying so many things. So gradually, step by step, the knowledge is built from the various experiences. Now, neither of these processes, options, apply to the Vedic system. The problem is that when Hindus try to validate Hinduism, they try sometimes to squeeze it into the categories of mainstream dominant culture, which is a mistake, because we don't need their validation. Who needs it? The Vedic knowledge is good by itself. It doesn't need validation by anybody else. This is a very important point, because one of the main problems that I have seen brought to light by many Hindu activists in my 20 years of interaction with Hindu and Hindutva activists, is that there could be some kind of inferiority complex towards the dominant culture. Of course, if you get some people, put them down to sit and tell them that India is a developing country, this is abuse, actually, because it puts the people, into the false belief that they have to develop towards the model of the Western system. So if the Western or Eurocentric, Abrahamic based, whatever you want to call it, in the developed model, we automatically cause our own inferiority complex. So we need, it's not that we can be developed only by, IT technologies. The problem is that the technology in itself is not good or bad. The problem is that the development model of the Western, let's call it Western, but it's not exactly, but let's say Western system of development is not sustainable because it is based on a wrong approach, a faulty approach. We can solve this problem only by applying the actual, original, genuine Vedic system. Now, let's take, for example, computer technology. It's a technology. Technology doesn't have a moral purpose. It's an instrument. Now, the problem is that when technology is applied with a moral purpose that is against Dharma. So, if the technology, the digitization is applied with the wrong purposes and with the wrong modalities, by cutting off the human part, becomes a mess. But the mess is not technology. Now, the problem is that sometimes I have seen that in India, they take Western technology, they give it a Hindi name, and then it becomes indigenous technology. Technology has been, developed. This technology has been developed in the West. There's no way around. It's not that you take the blueprint of a computer and you make it in India, it becomes indigenous technology. No, it becomes an indigenous product. But the technology is not the indigenous technology. Okay. The same way, we should stop running after the mainstream academic definitions. Now, I already mentioned the difference between the descending and ascending process. So what is the Vedic model then? If it's not descending, it's not ascending. The Vedic model is both. It's none of them specifically, but it's both. And this is why it's so important that the Vedic system, the Vedic tradition, speaks so much about overcoming duality. Now, when we keep the idea of duality in our mind, we will not get to the truth. Because the real absolute truth includes all the relative truths. In the Abrahamic model, this is not possible. Because the very foundation, the very root of the Abrahamic mentality is that there is the absolute truth is one truth that is bigger and better and more powerful and more ruthless than all the other truths and destroys all of them. So it's the only truth that actually stands, the last man to stand after the gunfight. Okay, you have, if you stop screen sharing, Arunji, it's better. Because we are getting stuff. Stop screen sharing. Okay, good. So, what I was saying is that we need to understand how the Vedic system, the Vedic model, is both descending and ascending, both revealed and empirical. In fact, the empirical model, according to the mainstream, perspective, does not exist, is not actually valid. You cannot apply it, because if we actually wanted to really apply only the empirical system, we would not be able to receive the knowledge from any teacher, because that is the sending process. Are you following? Okay. So the real empirical ascending process would actually, if we follow it literally, would require any person not to go to school. So any person should get any knowledge only through the empirical system. So nobody can teach anybody else how to read and write and how to do math and how to do anything, because that's a descending process. Are you following? You know, empirical means you don't accept any teaching. You want to find out by yourself. This is impossible, because every individual would have to, you know, to be born and brought up in a family and a society where nobody is teaching anybody anything. So everyone would have to discover the wheel and the fire and the you know, the writing and mathematics and all the theorems and all the multiplication tables without being taught anything, which is impossible and, you know, quite stupid for that matter. Now, the Vedic model starts with the descending process, in the sense that, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, one should start acquiring the knowledge by approaching a proper teacher. So, tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. We need to approach a teacher. Who is a teacher? You know, because we need to find out. Now, tattvadarshi is one who has a clear view of the knowledge. And if we want to expand, there is a beautiful text written by Adi Shankar. The title is Prashnottara Ratnamalika, which is a necklace of the gems of questions and questions. So in the beginning of this text, Adi Shankar asks, who is Guru? Because we need to know who is Guru and who is not Guru, right? So who is Guru? We have the answer immediately. Adi Shankar gives the answer. And he says, Guru is someone who has attained the goal of that particular knowledge of this teaching and is only interested in the benefit of the student. These two qualities must be present, because a teacher is not someone who's just repeating what the sampradaya, the parampara, or the matha is saying, because that is not a guru. That is just a spokesperson. Okay. A person who has not actually understood, realized, and verified through the empirical system the actual knowledge, not realized directly, personally, svadhyaya, the knowledge that he is teaching, is not a guru. He's not a good teacher. He is a parrot. Okay, parrots can also be good, but they're not teachers. Second thing, if the guru is not interested only in the benefit of the disciple, the purpose of the relationship will be lost. The center of the relationship is a disciple because it's about teaching. You cannot just say something and go away. You have to make sure that the student is actually learning. Therefore, we need the system of pariprasna. Thorough questioning. This means there must be a personal relationship between the guru and the sishya. If someone is giving a lecture to 1,000 people, that's not a guru, that's a lecturer. You can get the same knowledge from a book. In fact, you can get better knowledge from a book because the book is always with you. You can read it many times. The lecturer is speaking once. Or you have to record the lecturer, and the lecturer, maybe he's reading from his speech, or maybe he's just going on and on and on. Maybe he makes some mistakes. But the real solution is when the relationship between guru and sishya is personal, direct, and real. The guru has the responsibility to benefit the student, the disciple. Now, why the educational system in school is failing? Because the school is blaming the students for failing. Now, in the Vedic system, it was different. Again, it was very different. In the Vedic system, the Gurukula, the school, was called Gurukula because it was the family of the guru. So teaching was very personalized. The guru had full responsibility of the teaching and full freedom in the teaching and accepting students, teaching them and declaring them properly educated. With the present system of school, the teacher has no responsibility. So whose fault it is if the student fails? It's the student's fault. But that is not going to work because the student is the least responsible person in the process, because by definition the student doesn't know things. He doesn't know how to manage. He doesn't know what he needs to learn. So how can you blame the student for the failing of his education? So we have in the Vedic system, we have a start with a descending process. We accept a teacher. The teacher is teaching. Now, the teacher can be manifested in many ways. It's not that he has to be a physical human being. Okay, but still we need to establish a real solid relationship, practical relationship in which the guru is guiding us through the process by giving us knowledge, by verifying what we have understood, correcting the mistakes, and then going forward another level. If you are following the discussion, if you still follow what I'm saying, you can just show a minimum of feedback, because otherwise I feel like a lecturer. So
We are listening.
okay.
Hello.
If you have any questions at this point.
I have few. I thought I'll ask in the end.
Okay, so
I don't know. Sometimes answer comes afterwards. So
I know,
yeah.
but okay, we
Deviji?
go. I finish the sentence here. So
Okay.
the first stage is the sending process, because we need to go and learn from people who already know. So we save a lot of experimentation, unnecessary experimentation. And then the second stage is the empirical application of each individual student that takes to verification, assimilation, and realization. So we first start with the descending process, and then we go to the ascending process. Okay, let's see if we have any doubt until now. Any question?
Yes. No, so far I don't have any question, because it was 1-to-1. I have tuned my ear with your voice, and I was receiving fully. So here the topic, today's topic is unique topic, that who is Guru? Because I am spending time, I am dedicating my life. I am Ishara Prani Pakena. Okay, so then when I am offering myself, surrendering myself, not to get any materialistic object, but knowledge is my object, knowledge here. And today's session, Deviji, you have given the unique thing. I am grasping full, and this ascending and descending, this is new to me.
Yeah, it's new to a lot of people.
This is new to me. So that is a both-way connection, as in the technology. It is that transmission and reception as a whole is a process. So suppose I am asking you knowledge, so it has reached to you. Is that ascending? And then you are giving me something. The system is giving me something. Is that a descending? That is my question.
Descending means when you get the knowledge from someone who knows more.
Okay. Okay. Achha. Okay.
In the general Abrahamic sense, from God.
Okay. So it
and
is
the
this.
priests.
Achha. So in our case, in Vedic system, so where it is like a voltage. So from
Yes.
or the pressure, water from flow. Is that the concept?
In the Vedic system, we use both directions. It's a flow. It's like electricity. Electricity or water, any flow cannot just flow from one side to the other side. It has to circle.
Circuit.
You know, the cycle is important. The problem with Abrahamic culture and mainstream culture is that they have a linear vision of reality.
Oh.
Which is wrong.
Yes.
Which is illusion, because it's not linear.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a cycle. You know, it has to flow to maintain the balance. Okay.
And one more point.
Yes.
I got it. That teacher not necessarily be in person always. It may be a system. It may be transmission through system or whatever.
Not exactly. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I said that it doesn't necessarily need to be a physical human being.
Oh.
It's different. So it could be Paramatma.
Okay.
Because Paramatma is the Supreme Guru. Antaryami. So it is said the Guru Tattva Guru is one, but manifests in many forms. So it can manifest in the form of a human being who gives you, proper instruction and training and teaching. But in case you cannot find a qualified person, it can also manifest directly from your heart.
Oh, okay.
And still, even if you find a, qualified external teacher, it's always good to keep the channel open, the communication channel with the Antaryami Guru, because who knows? We cannot completely rely on one source only. This is why we have Guru, Shastra, Sadhu, Antaryami. These four should always be there in a cycle. Again, it's a cycle. So we hear something from a human being, then the Paramatma say, maybe not. Let me think. Or, yes, it is true. You understand? So Paramatma is there. If we can open our channel to Paramatma, we can get confirmation or doubt about what we are hearing from outside. And the purpose of yoga is to connect with the Paramatma. We know that the purpose of yoga is to stop all the agitation of the mind. This is what Patanjali says in the beginning of his Samadhi Pada, Yoga Sutras. Yoga is stopping all the agitations of the mind. Now, when you stop all the agitations of the mind, you can hear the Paramatma. Otherwise, all the voices we hear in our heart, there could be so many voices, and especially lots of voices coming from our mind. So how can we recognize the voice of the Paramatma as opposed to the voice of our mind? Because we need to practice controlling our mind and making silence in our mind, so we can hear the Paramatma clearly, without interference. Okay, is that clear? Okay, good. Sudeep, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah.
Please.
So I had one question. You said Guru has to be realized. How
Yes.
we would know whether he or she is realized or not?
Precisely as I just said, we have to compare whatever the Guru is saying with Shastra, Sadhu, and Paramatma. Paramatma, sometimes we call it the voice of the conscience. This is why Hinduism is the Sanatana Dharma par excellence. Because it's natural. It's a natural, universal, eternal Dharma and Vidya. Any human being, from any culture, whatever background, whatever upbringing, has a conscience. Any human being has the instinctive understanding of what is good and what is bad. You don't need to teach a child what is good and what is bad. Unfortunately, many children are confused by wrong teachings about what is good and what is bad. This is the problem. When we condition a person, a human being, with ideas and behaviors and models and values that are opposite to Dharma and Vidya, then we have a problem. But if we just remove the conditionings, the diamond of the Atman is always there. We just need to wash away the garbage. the dirt. This is the purpose of yoga. This is regarding dharma, but also regarding vidya. Because we don't know, actually, this is not something that mainstream culture or academia, academic teachers tell people. There is a universal knowledge, natural universal knowledge. For example, I don't know if you heard about the definition archetype. Maybe not. So the archetypes are symbols. The language of symbols is universal and eternal. I have done the experiment with different people from different cultures and everything, and it's incredible how well it works. The symbols are universal. Anyone is able to understand symbols, even if they have not been taught about them. For example, there is a very nice trick, if you want to call it like that, a psychological trick. For example, you have to stop and relax and visualize a series of things. Like, for example, first of all, you visualize a forest. Okay. Then you describe the forest. And then you come to a garden and you describe the garden. Then you come to a house, you describe the house. Then you find a lake, and you describe the lake. Then you meet a bear, and you describe the bear. Then you find a wall, and then you find a vase, a pot, container. People will not see the value of the symbol at the conscious level. They don't know what the symbols mean. But their subconscious, the natural knowledge of the human being, knows very well. Doesn't matter in which culture they were educated. Every person gives the same meaning to each of these symbols. The forest is life, one's life. So some people describe, big trees or small trees, thick trees. The forest is, there is sunlight or it's very dark. There is no undergrowth, there is a lot of undergrowth, there are so many animals, there are no animals. This is how that particular individual sees his or her own life. And you go and check, it's incredible. It is actually true. This means that each and every one of us, any human being, has some basic knowledge. Like, for example, the archetype of the mother. Everyone can understand the archetype of the mother. What is the symbol of the mother? The mother, the father, the king, the son, the queen, the priest, the warrior, the crone, the teacher. It's immediate. In all cultures, you will find the same meanings to these archetypes. Unless, of course, the original natural universal knowledge has been damaged by cultural conditioning, superimposition. But that's it, this is a point, another point. So you understand how it works.
Yeah.
Now, when we come back to the original question, how do we know when the original question was, how do we know if a guru is qualified, right?
Yeah, if he's realized.
If he's realized. Yeah, we have to compare what the guru is saying and doing with what he's teaching. So someone who is talking about abandoning the ahankara and mamatva, he has to have abandoned ahankara and mamatva. It has to show by behavior, by teaching and behavior, that he's actually got there. Let's say, how do you know if a swimming instructor is good? See if he swims. Yeah. Walk the talk. If someone is saying, oh, we are all Brahman, we are not this body. Yeah. And then makes a heavy discrimination based on body. Nope. Not working. You understand? If someone is saying, is teaching you about the value of vegetarian food, and then he's not eating vegetarian food, or he's eating non-vegetarian food, so what's the point? There is a saying in English: those who cannot do, teach. This is so wrong. This is so wrong, because what they're going to teach? But they don't know, because they never tried, they never done. How can they teach? They can just teach their projections, their opinions. So much of the mainstream dominant academic culture is about opinions, especially when it comes to the so-called humanistic sciences, subtle sciences like philosophy. We can add theology, anthropology, and even history, because these subjects that are taught in the mainstream academic system are not cannot be verified empirically. They're based on the opinions of this one and that one, but it's their empirical process, not the empirical process of the student. The student has to accept all the opinions of the various schools, and this means that he cannot have his own opinion. So the empirical process is not working. It becomes exactly the same as the dogma of the so-called descending or revealed process. If you go through the mainstream academic system, you get a degree not because you find out something new. You get a degree because you show that you believe in what they have taught you. Especially in the study of philosophy in the mainstream academic system, one has to come out with the idea that truth does not exist, because all opinions must be valid. So no opinion is valid. So there is no absolute truth. This one is saying something, that one is saying something else. What's the point of studying that? There's no point. Because anybody can have any opinion, but that doesn't make the opinion true. You're following?
Yes.
So when we have this evidence from Guru, not only from Guru, but from Shastra, Sadhu, and Paramatma, Antaryami, then we can evaluate if the teacher is realized or not. This is also done by in the original Vedic system by the fact that, first of all, pariprashna. The student have to ask all the possible questions. Pari means completely. Prashna means questions. Pariprashnena. The other factor is sevaya, mean by giving service to the teacher. This means that in the original Vedic system, the student has to stay with the teacher. This is a concept of Gurukula. Gurukula means that the student goes to live in the house of a teacher and gives service, and it can observe what the teacher is actually doing, how the teacher, it's a both sides observation. The student observes the teacher and the teacher observes the student. This is what we mean by actual personal direct relationship. This is the advantage of actually having a living teacher, because you can ask lots of questions and the teacher knows how to give you knowledge step by step and lead you to the actual points that you need to learn, you need to understand. Otherwise, if you just follow a system or a book or a mata or an organization or whatever, this process cannot actually apply, because it's a linear process. You only get stuff from them, from outside. You cannot give a feedback. This is why I don't like giving lectures by myself. I talk. I want feedback. Because otherwise it's very difficult to evaluate how effective the process is. Does that answer your question?
Yes. So in line with this discussion, as you said, that feedback has to be there. So some people say that diksha is necessary. Guru has to be living. Some other opines that you can have guru who are realized souls, like Adi Shankara directly, or Ramanujacharya, or those Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that way. So which of them is true? Because in one, if you have a guru who is not in body currently, we can't ask questions directly from them. So What is the best method?
The best method is need to go around, because any person we meet can be an instrument of Guru Tattva. And the Paramatma is always there. Even if we take birth as a monkey, the Paramatma will still be there. Okay. So the idea of diksha, initiation, we need to understand what diksha means. Okay. Now, diksha, the original meaning of diksha is the official declaration, acknowledgement of the relationship between Guru and Sishya. So, diksha has two aspects. One is the transmission of knowledge, and the other one is the official acknowledgement that that student is connected to that teacher. Now, I believe that your question is coming more from the place of sampradaya, sampradaya or matha means some religious organization that uses the diksha not to give meaning to your process of learning, but to establish your social position. If you are initiated in a particular sampradaya, you are officially considered a member of that sampradaya. If you go and see, these sampradayas can even come to the point of denying the value of the realization of the guru. As for example, we see in ISKCON.